Welcome to The Gentle Song of the Crystal Cave, a tranquil audio experience crafted to soothe your mind and guide you into a restful night's sleep. If you find peace in these calming narratives and wish to explore more stories like this, please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more soothing content. Before we journey into the peaceful town of Whisper Creek and the mystical Crystal Cave, we'll begin with a short and gentle breathing guidance to help you unwind and prepare for our tale. If you'd prefer to drift straight into the story of Silas and his quest, you can find the timestamps for each chapter conveniently located in the description below. Now, allow yourself to settle into a comfortable and relaxed position. Let your body soften and release any tension, sinking deeper into your bed or resting place. Ensure you are warm and supported, creating a haven of tranquility just for you. This is your moment to release the day's concerns and welcome a sense of quiet stillness. Imagine the gentle hum of the crystal cave already beginning to resonate around you. A soft vibrational lullaby that promises to ease you into a state of deep calm. Let's take a slow, calming breath together. Gently inhale through your nose, allowing the air to fill your lungs with ease and comfort. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, like a soft whisper carried on the breeze. As you breathe, imagine the soft internal glow of the crystals within the cave, their gentle light washing over you, soothing any lingering worries. Picture the rolling green hills of Whisper Creek, their gentle slopes inviting you to release any tension and find serenity in their quiet presence. If your thoughts begin to drift, that's perfectly natural. Simply acknowledge them softly and let them float away, like clouds drifting across a peaceful sky. Gently guide your focus back to your breath or to the sound of my voice, allowing yourself to be carried along by the rhythm of the narrative. There is nothing you need to do now, but listen and allow the gentle song of the Crystal Cave to envelop you in peace. Feel the calming vibrations, the quiet promise of rest, and let them guide you toward a night of tranquil slumber. Now, let us begin our journey into Whisper Creek and the heart of the Crystal Cave, where a gentle song awaits to bring you peace. Chapter 1: A Whisper of Unease in Whisper Creek. Whisper Creek, nestled amidst the gentle undulations of green hills, awoke each morning to a quiet symphony of nature. The soft murmur of the creek from which the town drew its name, the gentle rustling of leaves in the ancient oak trees lining the village square, and the distant melodic bird song all combined to create a tranquil soundscape, a lullaby that had soothed generations into peaceful days and restful nights. For Silas, a scholar of local lore and keeper of the town's gentle history, these sounds were as familiar and comforting as his own heartbeat. He lived in a small, book-filled cottage on the edge of the village, its windows overlooking the peaceful expanse of the valley and the distant, slumbering form of the Crystal Cave Hill. This morning, however, as Silas opened his window to greet the dawn, he noticed a subtle but unsettling shift in the usual harmony. The bird song seemed a touch less vibrant, the creek's murmur a shade less resonant, and even the gentle breeze that usually whispered through the leaves felt strangely still. It was as if a single, soft note had gone ever so slightly out of tune in the town's familiar melody. He paused, listening intently, his brow furrowed in gentle concentration. It wasn't a sudden, jarring change, but something delicate, almost imperceptible to the untrained ear, yet profoundly noticeable to someone as attuned to Whisper Creek's rhythms as Silas. He made his way downstairs to the comforting aroma of morning tea brewing in his kitchen, the gentle clinking of the kettle a familiar and grounding sound. As he poured himself a steaming cup, its warmth spreading through his hands, he pondered the subtle shift he had perceived. Whisper Creek was known for its tranquil atmosphere, a serenity that the townsfolk attributed to the crystal cave hidden beneath the nearby hills. Legend held that the cave resonated with a gentle song, a vibrational hum that washed over the town, ensuring its peacefulness and encouraging restful sleep. Could it be, Silas wondered, that the cave's song was faltering? The thought was as quiet as the unease he felt, yet it resonated deep within him. He knew the stories, the ancient whispers passed down through generations about the cave's mystical properties. He had spent countless hours poring over old town records, piecing together fragments of folklore and local legends, each tale hinting at the profound connection between Whisper Creek's tranquility and the hidden crystal formations beneath the hill. Setting his teacup down on the worn wooden table, Silas decided to begin his day with a gentle walk towards the Crystal Cave Hill. The morning air was cool and fresh, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and damp earth, a familiar and comforting fragrance that usually soothed any lingering worries. He donned a warm woolen cloak, its soft fabric a comforting weight upon his shoulders, and stepped out into the quiet morning. The cobblestone path leading out of the village was still damp with dew, reflecting the soft pearly light of the early morning sky. As he walked, he observed the town stirring to life with its usual gentle pace. The baker was just opening his shop, the scent of freshly baked bread already beginning to drift out onto the street, a warm and welcoming aroma. A few villagers were beginning their day's tasks, moving with a quiet purpose, their movements unhurried and peaceful. Everything appeared normal on the surface, yet Silas couldn't shake the feeling of subtle disharmony, the faint off-key note in Whisper Creek's usual song. Reaching the base of the Crystal Cave Hill, Silas paused to look up at its gentle slope, covered in lush green grass and dotted with wildflowers. The entrance to the cave itself was hidden behind a curtain of thick ivy, a secret doorway into the earth's quiet heart. He took a slow, deep breath of the fresh morning air, grounding himself in the present moment, and then began his gentle ascent, his footsteps soft on the dew-kissed grass, each step bringing him closer to the mystery that lay hidden beneath. He felt a quiet sense of purpose, a gentle determination to understand the subtle shift in Whisper Creek's peace, and to restore the full, harmonious song of the Crystal Cave to his beloved town. Chapter 2. Descending into Stillness. The climb up the Crystal Cave Hill was a gentle incline, a peaceful stroll rather than a strenuous ascent. Wildflowers in hues of soft lavender and pale yellow dotted the grassy slopes, their delicate blossoms swaying gently in the slight morning breeze. Silas paused occasionally, not from exertion, but to observe the quiet beauty around him. A small butterfly, its wings the color of faded parchment, flitted past, landing momentarily on a clover blossom before drifting onward. These small moments of observation were a balm to his mind, a gentle reminder of the quiet rhythms of the natural world that surrounded Whisper Creek. Reaching the ivy-covered mouth of the cave, Silas paused once more, allowing himself a moment to transition from the sun-dappled hillside to the cool, shadowed entrance. The air here was noticeably cooler, carrying a subtle, earthy scent, the fragrance of damp soil and ancient stone. He gently pushed aside the thick curtain of ivy, revealing a narrow opening leading downwards. Sunlight filtered faintly through the leaves, casting dappled shadows at the cave's entrance. But beyond lay a deeper, hushed darkness, a realm of quiet mystery. Taking a slow, deliberate breath, Silas stepped into the cave. The temperature dropped immediately, a refreshing coolness enveloping him like a gentle embrace. His footsteps on the earthen floor were soft and muffled, the sounds of the outside world fading behind him with each step he took further into the hillside. The faint light from the entrance dwindled quickly, and he reached into his cloak pocket, retrieving a small handheld lantern. With a quiet flick of his wrist, a soft, warm light bloomed within the lantern, casting a gentle circle of illumination around him. The cave passage sloped gradually downwards, winding gently into the earth. The walls were close, formed of rough, cool stone, their surfaces glistening faintly with moisture. The air was still and quiet, carrying only the softest whisper of sound, perhaps the distant drip of water, or the faintest sigh of air moving through the subterranean passages. It was a place of profound stillness, a world away from the gentle sounds of Whisper Creek above. Yet it held a different kind of peace, a deep, earthy tranquility. As he proceeded deeper, Silas began to notice the crystals. At first, they were small, embedded within the cave walls like scattered jewels, glints of quartz catching the lantern light, tiny amethyst points peeking from crevices. But as he continued, the crystals grew larger, more numerous, and more prominent. Veins of quartz, thick as his arm, snaked across the cave walls, their surfaces shimmering with a soft internal light. Clusters of amethyst, like frozen droplets of lavender light, adorned alcoves and niches. The very air within the cave seemed to hum with a faint vibration, a subtle resonance that tingled gently on his skin. It wasn't a loud sound, not a noise that would startle or disturb, but a feeling, a quiet thrum that permeated the stillness. This, Silas knew, was the beginning of the Crystal Cave's song, the gentle vibration that was said to soothe Whisper Creek. He focused his attention on this feeling, trying to discern if it was indeed fainter, less resonant than he remembered from his previous infrequent visits to the cave in years past. He paused in a small chamber, the lantern light reflecting off countless crystal surfaces, creating a soft, ethereal glow all around him. The air here was particularly still, the silence almost palpable. He closed his eyes for a moment, focusing inwards, trying to sense the cave's song with his whole being, not just his ears. He felt the subtle vibrations, the quiet hum, but there was a quality missing, a certain fullness, a resonant depth that seemed diminished, like a musical chord played with one note slightly muted. Opening his eyes again, Silas continued his gentle descent, his heart filled with a quiet determination to understand the subtle shift in the cave's harmony. He knew with a scholar's certainty and a townsman's deep affection for Whisper Creek that restoring the full song of the Crystal Cave was not just a matter of lore or legend, but a matter of preserving the very peace, and tranquility that made his town such a haven, such a gentle and comforting place to call home. Chapter 3. An Encounter in the Glimmering Depths. Deeper into the crystal cave Silas ventured, the passage widening into a more spacious chamber. Here, the crystal formations became even more breathtaking. Massive geodes lined with shimmering amethyst and clear quartz adorned the walls like naturally sculpted artworks. The lantern light danced across their surfaces, creating a soft, glittering spectacle, a subterranean realm bathed in gentle internal luminescence. The air grew cooler still, carrying a subtle, clean mineral scent, like rain-washed stones and crisp mountain air. He moved slowly through this chamber, his footsteps quiet and deliberate, almost reverent in the face of such natural beauty. He ran a gloved hand gently across the smooth surface of a large quartz formation, feeling its cool, solid texture. The silence here was profound, broken only by the softest imaginable sounds, the occasional drip of water echoing distantly, and the continued, almost imperceptible hum of the cave's vibration. It was a silence that was not empty, but rather full of a quiet, ancient presence. In this chamber of glimmering crystals, amidst the profound stillness, Silas noticed a soft light ahead, a glow that was distinct from the reflection of his lantern. It was a warmer light, a gentle, almost golden luminescence emanating from deeper within the cave. Intrigued and slightly surprised, he moved cautiously towards it, his senses alert, but his heart remaining calm, his pace unhurried. There was no sense of alarm, only a quiet curiosity guiding his steps. Rounding a bend in the passage, the source of the light became clear. Seated on a smooth, flat rock formation, bathed in the soft glow of a cluster of amber-colored crystals, was a woman. She was elderly, her hair the color of spun silver, woven into a loose braid that rested over her shoulder. Her face was etched with the gentle lines of time. Her eyes, though aged, held a bright, knowing spark. She was dressed in simple, earth-toned clothing that seemed to blend seamlessly with the cave's natural hues. This was Maeve, Silas realized, with a quiet sense of recognition. He had seen her occasionally in Whisper Creek, a woman known for her quiet wisdom and her deep connection to the surrounding countryside. Local lore whispered of her intuitive understanding of the land and her knowledge of ancient remedies and forgotten paths. Her presence here, in the heart of the crystal cave, felt both unexpected and somehow perfectly natural. Maeve looked up as Silas approached, her gaze calm and welcoming. A gentle smile softened the lines around her eyes. "Welcome, Silas," she said, her voice soft and low, like the rustling of dry leaves on a still autumn day. "I sensed your presence in the cave. I've been waiting for you." Silas approached her respectfully, pausing a few feet away. "Maeve," he replied, his voice hushed in deference to the quiet stillness of the cave. I didn't expect to find anyone else here." He gestured gently around at the crystal chamber. "It's unusually still today. I've come to listen." Maeve nodded slowly, her gaze understanding. "You have heard it too, then?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The song. It is fainter, isn't it? Less resonant than it should be." She gestured to the crystals around them with gentle hand. "The cave itself. It feels quieter." A sense of quiet relief washed over Silas. He was not alone in his perception, and more importantly, he was in the presence of someone who seemed to understand, someone who might hold the wisdom to help. He felt a gentle stirring of hope, a quiet confidence that together perhaps they could unravel the mystery of the fading song and restore the tranquil harmony to Whisper Creek. Chapter 4. Echoes of Whisper Creek. Above. Maeve's words resonated in the still air of the crystal chamber, confirming Silas's deepest unease. "The song," she repeated softly, her gaze distant, as if listening to something beyond the immediate silence of the cave. "It is like a gentle breath, Silas, the breathing of the earth itself, and of Whisper Creek. When the breath is shallow, the song falters." She turned her wise eyes back to him, their gaze clear and steady. "And Whisper Creek. It has been holding its breath, hasn't it?" Silas considered her words, turning them over in his mind like smooth stones. He had noticed the subtle shift in the town's atmosphere, the almost imperceptible disharmony in its usual tranquility. But he hadn't quite articulated it as a holding of breath. It was a fitting description, he realized. There was a slight tension in the air of Whisper Creek lately, a subtle undercurrent of unease that seemed to have settled over the normally placid town. "I have felt it," Silas admitted, his voice quiet. A subtle tension. People seem a little less at ease, perhaps. Sleep. I have heard whispers of restless nights." He looked at Maeve, seeking her deeper understanding. "But how is it connected to the cave, to its song?" Maeve smiled gently, a knowing crinkle around her eyes. "The crystal cave, Silas. It is not separate from Whisper Creek. It is its heart, its grounding stone. The crystals within absorb and amplify the peace of the land, and they send that tranquility back out as the song you feel, the vibration that soothes. But they also reflect back what they receive." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. If Whisper Creek holds tension, if there is unease in the hearts of the people, the cave feels it, and the song, it becomes muted. A sense of quiet understanding began to dawn in Silas's mind. It wasn't a simple mechanical issue with the crystals themselves, but something more subtle, more interconnected. The cave's song was not just a source of peace, but also a reflection of the town's collective emotional state. It was a delicate balance, a reciprocal exchange of tranquility. Maeve rose slowly from her seat on the rock, her movements graceful and unhurried. "Come, Silas," she said gently, extending a hand towards a passage leading deeper into the crystal chamber. "Let us go closer to the heart of the song. Perhaps there we can understand more." Silas accepted her hand, her touch surprisingly firm and warm. Together they moved deeper into the cave, guided by the soft glow of their lanterns and the gentle luminescence of the crystals. The passage narrowed again, leading them into a smaller, more intimate space. Here, the concentration of crystals was even denser, forming intricate patterns on the walls and ceiling, like a subterranean grotto crafted from light itself. The air was profoundly still, the silence almost palpable, and the vibration of the cave's song, though still faint, seemed to resonate more strongly in this deeper chamber. As they stood in this quiet, glimmering space, Maeve pointed towards a cluster of crystals near the center of the chamber. "Look closely, Silas," she murmured, her voice barely audible above the silence. "Observe the heart of the song." Silas turned his lantern towards the crystals, his gaze intent, his mind open to the subtle whispers of the cave. He began to see not just the beauty of the crystals, but something more. A subtle disharmony reflected even within their radiant forms. Chapter 5. Resonance of Peace returns. Focusing his lantern light, as Maeve indicated, Silas observed the cluster of crystals at the heart of the chamber with a scholar's careful attention. They were magnificent, a dense gathering of quartz and amethyst points, radiating a soft inner light. Yet, as he gazed more closely, he began to perceive subtle imperfections. A faint cloudiness within some of the quartz, a slight dullness to the normally vibrant amethyst, a barely perceptible tremor in their otherwise steady glow. It was as if the crystals themselves were mirroring the subtle unease that had settled over Whisper Creek. Maeve nodded gently, confirming his silent observation. "Do you see it, Silas?" she murmured. "The crystals, they are not unwell, not broken, but they are dimmed, responding to the shadows that have touched Whisper Creek. The song falters not because the cave is wounded, but because the heart of the town is slightly troubled." She laid a hand gently upon a large geode, its surface cool and smooth beneath her touch. "To heal the song, we must help Whisper Creek find its peace again." A profound understanding settled upon Silas, warm and clear as the gentle light of the crystals. He realized then that their quest was not to fix something broken within the cave itself, but to nurture the tranquility of Whisper Creek, to encourage the town to breathe deeply once more. The cave was a mirror, reflecting and amplifying the town's collective emotional state. To restore the song, they must restore peace to the source. Together, Silas and Maeve made their way back through the crystal cave, their ascent gentle and unhurried. Emerging into the soft afternoon sunlight, they found Whisper Creek bathed in a golden hue, seemingly unchanged on the surface. Yet Silas now perceived the subtle tension beneath the veneer of normalcy with a clearer understanding. He knew where their work truly lay. They returned to Whisper Creek, not with pronouncements of alarm, but with gentle words and quiet wisdom. They spoke to the villagers, not of a failing magic, but of the interconnectedness of their town and the crystal cave, of the delicate balance of peace and harmony. They suggested simple things, moments of quiet reflection by the creek, acts of kindness towards neighbors, shared gatherings in the village square, focused not on activity, but on peaceful presence and shared tranquility. Slowly, gently, the people of Whisper Creek began to respond. They spent more time in quiet contemplation, listening to the murmur of the creek, observing the slow dance of leaves in the breeze. They offered smiles more readily, helped neighbors with small tasks, and gathered in the square in the evenings, not for boisterous celebration, but for quiet companionship, sharing stories and simply enjoying each other's peaceful presence. A subtle shift began, a softening of the underlying tension, a returning sense of ease. After a week of these gentle acts, Silas and Maeve returned to the crystal cave. Descending once more into its glimmering depths, they made their way to the heart chamber, and there they found a change. The central crystal cluster glowed with a renewed vibrancy, its light stronger, clearer, more resonant. The faint cloudiness had lifted, the dullness vanished. The vibration of the cave's song was fuller, richer, a deep, soothing hum that permeated the air, filling the chamber with a palpable sense of peace. Climbing back to the surface, they emerged into the twilight of Whisper Creek, now bathed in the soft silvery light of the rising moon. A profound tranquility had settled over the town, deeper and more palpable than before. The air itself seemed to hum with a gentle resonance, carrying the restored song of the crystal cave on the soft evening breeze. Whisper Creek was breathing freely once more, its heart, both town and cave, beating in perfect peaceful harmony. The gentle song had returned, promising nights of restful slumber and days filled with quiet, abiding peace.